Well, joining me now for a look at what to expect from these mega cap technology names that do have an outsized impact on the market's overall direction is David Schulhof. He's the founder and CEO of the music ETF, NYSE. David, welcome.
Good morning, Kristen.
It's great to have you on the show today. So much to talk about, of course, from technology to streaming to entertainment. How important is music streaming, for instance, to some of the tech names that are set to report this week?
Well, in this country today, 84% of all music consumption is dominated by streaming. So I would say very important. After Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and Google are really the second, third, and fourth largest music streamers in the world. They account for close to half the paid subscribers. And a company like YouTube has 2 billion subscribers who actually download the app. So, look, while they're a small portion of revenue for the overall company, they're still important. They're an important part of the music ecosystem. So we look carefully at the results of these subscribers when they report.
So when they report results this week for the health of the music industry, what are the key metrics that you'll be watching to gauge the pulse?
So first, we look at monthly active users. So we want to see if Spotify's monthly active users are growing. We want to look at paid streaming subscribers. We want to see what kind of revenue they're generating for the quarter. Streaming is growing at 10 to 15% in this country, and it's growing as high as 25% in the emerging markets. And so every quarter we like to see more consumers basically consume paid streaming subscription plans. And then we'll also look to see whether these streaming companies are raising rates. Because if you look, every quarter they've been raising rates because music is very under-monetized. Music is cheap compared to what you pay for all the other streaming services like Disney and HBO Go. So that's why all the companies from Spotify to Apple to Amazon are all in the process of raising rates almost every quarter.
I do want to talk about Apple in particular. It is one of the biggest companies out there, is a real good pulse on the overall health of the economy because it is sort of a value stock and a growth stock at the same time. I think streaming would be a growth element. So music streaming would fall under its services business. Can you quantify just how important this is to Apple's overall performance?
Sure. So in 2023, Apple Music generated $9.3 billion from Apple Music. That was about 6.7% of the Apple services business. So a pretty meaningful contribution. They're the second largest streaming provider after Spotify. They reported approximately 100 million paid streaming subscribers. They're about 15% of the $50 billion streaming market. So again, while it's a small portion of the $400 billion in revenue that the corporation generates in revenue, 6 to 7% of the services business is meaningful. So we look at that as a valuable contribution in our music industry.
I do want to talk about Amazon because I have an Alexa where I live, and it is constantly, pushing Apple Music, constantly pushing Amazon Music. Has that been able to stick with consumers?
Alexa is revolutionary. When you think back 35 years ago, Sony invented the Walkman, right? After the Walkman, Steve Jobs invented the iPod. This is the new Walkman. Only the difference here, Kristen, is that it's not limited by anything except your imagination. It is a virtual portable device now. You can create playlists, it can serve up music, it can do anything for you. The popularity of Alexa is growing, and while Amazon may be behind Apple and Spotify in terms of paid streaming numbers, I think we're going to see more growth from them in the future because of Alexa.
David, stay with me. We're going to have you back on a little bit later in the show to talk more about the streaming space, entertainment as well. That's David Schulhof, founder and CEO of the music ETF, MUSQ. I think I'm going to be rejoined here by David Schulhof in the interim as we iron things out. David, we were chatting earlier, and I'd like to bring you back in here and pick up where we left off. So we talked about Amazon. We talked about Apple. We can talk about Alphabet and YouTube, but I think Spotify is, probably what most people associate when they hear about music streaming. How is Spotify faring these days?
So Spotify clearly is the dominant player, Kristen, today in the global music business. They reported 236 million paid subscribers last quarter. They have approximately 600 million monthly active users. Their revenues were up 17% last quarter, and so they added 10 million paid subscribers. So we'll be looking to see what kind of new subscribers they're generating. They're also increasing rates every quarter, so we'll see if they increase rates again. They're up to $11. We'll see if they go to $12 and generate more revenue.
We also have seen streaming services for video content, like a Disney Plus, for instance, raise prices in recent weeks. Is the consumer still willing to pay at those prices?
Music is so under-monetized. If you listen to JP Morgan, they called it the best content story in the history of the business. You're paying 2 times that for Netflix, for HBO Go, for Disney Plus, for Hulu. Spotify should be raising rates every quarter. That's why they crushed earnings the last 2 quarters. That's why we anticipate they'll crush earnings again. They should continue to raise rates. There's no indication that there would be any attrition by cutting off your music service for $11 a month. It's a great value proposition for 200 million songs. Music is always like the stepchild in this business, right? Because dating back years ago, there was radio and everyone thought it was for free. But now there are paid streaming subscribers and they're getting all this content associated with Spotify. It's not just music now, it's podcasts, it's audiobooks. So it's like the most undervalued media asset, I think, out there. And so we have high hopes this quarter for Spotify.
Interesting. Now, when it comes to YouTube, of course, owned by Google and Alphabet, the publicly traded stock Alphabet, that is, I think a lot of people do associate the free component with a YouTube, for instance. How do you see that playing out in the numbers?
So YouTube is a very unique beast, right? Because they have 2 billion subscribers on the YouTube platform, and it's only generating about $1 billion in revenue for YouTube Music. But it's a huge part, it's a hook into the YouTube ecosystem. And so when you think about what it does for advertising, it allows users to generate more advertising for the overall service. So YouTube Music, when you look more deeply, it's actually closer to 10% of the overall revenue for Google, because that's how important the YouTube service is, even though they're serving up ads and even though it's free.
I want to turn to Vegas with you here, your expertise on set. One of the biggest storylines coming out of Las Vegas in the past 12 months has been the debut of the Sphere, right? U2 headlining the opening shows there, the Eagles currently playing at the Sphere in Las Vegas. What is the game-changing element of this venue?
The Sphere has just totally transformed the live entertainment experience. It's a quantum leap in live music. They built a $2.3 billion structure. The screen is 160,000 square feet. It's the largest sphere in the world. It's the width of 2 football fields. It is just massive. And when you think about the Eagles and Phil Lesh and Dead & Co. with John Mayer, the opportunities are great. People really want live music. I saw they just announced they're opening up a Sphere in Abu Dhabi as their next one. They're going to continue to roll these out. Hats off to Dolan for building this. It was a big bet, but it's a great venue, and I expect to see a lot more amazing shows there.
From a music perspective, since you are the founder and CEO of the Music ETF, are the acoustics, is the sound different in the Sphere? What do our viewers need to know if they want to book tickets to this venue?
So first of all, the sound is next level. They've invested, again, a lot of money in building a state-of-the-art system, an immersive system. So it's not just it's sound, it's wind, it's color. It really gives you 4D experience in the venue. Tickets are anywhere from $150 to a couple $1,000, depending on if you want a hospitality booth, you want to be up front and center, but there's no bad seat in this house. So no matter where you're standing or sitting, you're going to have a great time at the Sphere.
I need to get to the Sphere. Have you been there?
I have.
Yes? Did you see U2?
I saw Dead & Co. there.
Oh, you saw Dead & Co. I had heard that I think the B level is kind of the best place to get seats. Is that right? The second tier?
I think the second tier is great.
Yeah.
I was in a hospitality booth, which was great. But again, there's really no bad seat in the house. You can't miss anything.
I do want to ask about the Eras Tour. Taylor Swift, so much in focus, of course, since being named Times Person of the Year last year, dating Travis Kelce, NFL superstar. She's toured all of these major venues, as has Travis Kelce. What has the Eras Tour done to the music business?
Okay, well, first of all, she's generated close to $5 billion in revenue to this country's GDP. So she's had a huge halo effect just on overall business, on restaurants, on hotels, on Ubers. She's changed the game for live music and touring. Tickets are now, $1,000, $1,500. She was making like $10 to $15 million a show. She's going to do probably $1.5 billion, $2 billion in revenue when she finishes up her tour this year in Canada. It is just such a massive tour, but she's just an amazing artist. She's just a very unique person. Look, she's obviously like prom queen and prom king with Travis Kelce right now, so she's in the zeitgeist, but she's having a huge impact on businesses around the world. Small business owners are able to capitalize on the excitement and frenzy. I call it Swiftonomics because that's really the kind of impact that she's had.
It's been quite impressive to see. David, great to get your take, especially as we await technology, entertainment earnings this week. Peak earnings season. David Schulhof, of course, joining me in studio. He's the founder and CEO of the music ETF, MUSQ.